Welcome back to Leeds Lit. Before we get into this video, if you could just hit that button down below, let's move me into the actual picture here. Leeds have won 2-1 at home against West Ham in a game where we were expected to win, but we got off to an absolutely flying start. 2 goals in the first 15 minutes for the first time in 20 years in the Premier League is what happened. A goal from Brendan Aronson and a goal from Joe Rodon got us off to a flying start. And overall in that first half, I thought we were really good. I thought we played forwards, we played attacking football, we tried to progress the ball quicker, which is something I've been critical of in recent weeks. Us slowly playing the ball from side to side, not really opening anything up, but when you go ahead and you play those balls quickly into forward lines, that's when you start to see results. And I think we did that a lot. A lot of that was down to Gabriel Goodmanson. I also thought Aronson was fantastic in that first half, even a bit in the second half as well. I thought he was really good, scoring his goal. The first goal crossed into the box by Jayden Bogle. Okafor heads it down towards the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper palms it into the path of Aronson, who puts it underneath him into the goal, 1-0. Then the second one, Longstaff corner, Rodon, bullet header. I must say, for both goals, terrible defending by West Ham in both situations, really poor from them. And I would have been very disappointed from a Leeds perspective if we'd have conceded those goals. So let me talk a little bit. No, let's talk about the game overall, and then we'll do players like we usually do. Okay, so the first half, mostly dominating the possession, dominating the chances, getting forward, using the wings well, getting balls into the box. Bogle, Goodmanson, getting balls into the box, getting shots off, even shots from the edge of the box and stuff. We were getting our attacks in. That first half, of course, went on till like the 58th minute because of injuries. So Goodmanson had to come off injured, which obviously changes the game a little bit, because whilst James Justin's a good footballer, he's not Gabriel Goodmanson. He's not got the same ability in his locker to be that guy always putting the ball in the box. So I will say that he is somebody who is good at what he does, Justin, but not quite what we need in that game, and it makes us sit back a little bit. That's not an excuse. We'll come on to the actual second half. And then, of course, Okafor also had to come off at half-time. I don't know whether he's nursing a bit of an injury, a bit of a knock, but he came off for Harrison as well, which means that we can't be as kind of progressive down that side because Harrison doesn't make as many runs at the defenders as Okafor does. So that changed the complexion of it a little bit. However, in that second half, we started fairly decently. We were going forward. We were playing balls forward, trying to attack. But the more the half went on, the more that we sat back further and further and further. And it's happened a few times under Daniel Farke in the Premier League where it's like, okay, we're ahead, let's sit on it. We've seen it fail against Bournemouth. We've seen it fail against Fulham. Of course, we were drawing that game, but it was like, let's settle for a draw, and that ended up us losing the game against Fulham, drawing against Bournemouth when we could have won. But what I'll say is, so let's say that it's okay to do what Daniel Farke wants to do, to drop Leeds back slowly, further and further until the end of the game and see the game out, because this time it's worked, right? Even if you're accepting the fact that that's the way that Leeds are going to play, which I personally don't. Yes, start to set back from maybe the 75th minute to 90, but not the whole second half, not inviting that much pressure that whole time. If you are going to do that, you have to make subs earlier. I was calling for Dan James and Lucas Mecha earlier. Calvert-Lewin was getting nothing up there. And any time that he did get the ball, he was having to try and do it all himself. And with the ball at his feet as a dribbler, he's a bit of a donkey. It's not his game to be, maybe that's harsh, but it's not his game to be the type of player who's going to run at defenders and take it past them and score. I'm not saying necessarily that Mecha is, But Mecha definitely has more of an ability to run in behind and stretch the game. And then, of course, bringing Dan James on for Aaronson, who Aaronson had a really good game, let me tell you. A lot of good stuff defensively, a lot of good stuff dribbling, going forward, taking it past players when he hit the bar. That was a fantastic run from him. But it comes to the point where you go, okay, Aaronson's had his time and looks pretty shattered now from the shift he's put in. Bring on Dan James, because having a player like Dan James on the pitch, if you are sitting back, it just makes the opposition think twice about how much they're going to throw players forward, because Dan James can be in behind you like a shot. He can be in behind you so quickly. And I think that he's somebody who really makes opposition defenders think about what they're doing. And you saw it as soon as he came on, they dropped a little bit, but it was too little too late. We brought him on in the 86th minute. I think with Mecha on up front, he's the same kind of physical toughness as what you get out of Calvert-Lewin, but a little bit more dexterous in his ability to carry the ball and make runs in behind as well. So he's got the potential to stretch the play a little bit more as well. And then you've got Dan James's pace. I think if you bring those two on to just pin them back a little bit, just to make them think twice about throwing so many players forward. If you do that in the 70th minute, and then you start to let's say you do that in the 75th minute and then do my plan of slowly sitting back after that point, those two are still going to be up there providing a bit of threat the other way, so that when you do counterattack, if you do counterattack, you've got more of a chance of putting it in the back of the net. And eventually we concede a goal. Too little too late for West Ham, though, and it's 2-1 in the end. But in future, I'd like to see those decisions made earlier to bring on substitutes that are going to stretch the opposition when they are trying to throw players forward. Let's talk about players overall. We've already mentioned Aaronson, so we won't go into him. Lucas Perry came in goal. Very solid performance. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Got no complaints about him. Solid goalkeeping performance. Like I said, Bogle and Goodmanson, both very, very good, as per usual. Rodon, fantastic man of the match for me. Scored his goal. Really good defending for 90-odd minutes, other than the goal that they conceded. Yakubiyol as well. There was a few little bits where you thought, oh, that's a bit rusty, but then he's a bit rusty. It's his first start for us. And overall, I thought he was very solid. James Justin came in and did a job. Wasn't amazing, but did what he needed to do. Ampadu, Tanaka, and Longstaff were the players who started this game, and all very decent. Ampadu, I thought, had a good game. We started to get a little bit more overrun in the second half as the game went on, and we didn't see anything of Stack this week. I think he was maybe getting a bit of a dressing down because he was, he was kind of a little bit lackluster with some of his pressing for one of the goals last week. So yeah, you've got to think about that a little bit. And I also thought that he's not necessarily, whilst he can play as a holding midfielder, he's not necessarily the most kind of defensive midfielder. So we brought on Gruev instead. And I think that changed it a little bit, just to stop Leeds having so many kind of overrun moments in midfield as well. So, yeah, that was when Gruev came on. So Longstaff, I thought, had a decent game as well. Dan James, didn't see much of him, but I thought Okafor in the first half was very good. Aaronson, I thought, had a good game. Harrison, he didn't really do much. Calvert-Lewin didn't have much that he could do, really. He wasn't really given much of an opportunity. So that's the way I see this game. We've won, and what I want to mention as well, I'm not sure if I have. I kept mentioning it on the stream, but I don't know whether I mentioned it in here. Leeds need to stay ahead, or at least on or ahead of 1 point per game. Because if you get 38 points, you're staying up. If we can stay ahead of 1 point per game throughout the season, which we are now 2 points ahead of that, then I'm absolutely fine with it. 3 wins from the first 9, I think, is decent, very good mid-table form, and I think I'm very happy with it. 3 wins, 2 draws, 4 losses from the first 9 games. It's not bad, is it? Especially considering that the way that we've played in a lot of those games. The only game where we've played badly, I think, is the Arsenal game, Burnley, we weren't fantastic, but we had a lot of chances and we didn't put them to bed. But the Arsenal game, terrible. Everything else, I've been fairly happy with the performance level of. We just need to start putting more away and stopping more going in the back of our net. Happy with the where we are in the table, 6 points clear of the relegation zone by beating West Ham. Thanks for watching Leeds lately. Have a good weekend and check out the match preview for the Brighton game. And then, of course, they'll be live for that game as well. Thanks for watching Leeds lately, and I'll see you in the next one.